Hi, I'm Kendall Shonacase here with Kevin Briody, a two-time Emmy Award winner, songwriter, and musician. Kevin, tell me, when did you first become interested in music?
Well, I basically was. My dad is was a Dixie trombone player, so I was born and quickly handed a trumpet, basically. But no, I'm kidding. But I grew up in a very musical family, and grew up playing the trumpet. But I got very involved in sports as a high school kid and into college. So I basically stopped playing music for about 10 years. And then I got back into music because I started writing at about 25. I started writing and thought, hey, it'd be cool to try writing songs. And so my wife bought me an acoustic guitar for Christmas, and I started teaching myself how to play guitar and started writing songs.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm a late bloomer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So when did you actually start performing?
Well, I tease myself that I was basically Quasimodo for a long time. I have a studio in Connecticut that's up on the third floor, just shy of the attic of this old house. And for 10 years, I just went up there and I wrote, and I wrote, and I wrote, and I didn't really do a lot of performance. And when I was, I guess, about 35 or so, like that, I started doing more performance. There's a great folk festival in Kerrville, Texas, and I started going down to that folk festival, and it's just for they have a competition just for songwriters. And as I started doing that, I was being encouraged to start singing my own songs as well, so I've been doing that now for about 12, 13, 14 years, something like that.
Wow. So were you a natural performer? Did you get stage fright?
Oh gosh, yeah. I still have it. I definitely would not eat the day of a performance when I first started performing. Sometimes the day before a performance. I don't have that problem anymore, though. Yeah, I could use that problem.
Oh, no big. So I hear you've performed with some pretty big names. Tell me about those experiences.
Well, they're all unique. I mean, some of the cool things that you get to do is meet and hang out with people who are really iconic in your eyes. So I have, I'll never forget pulling up to a venue, and I got out of the car. Parking was right behind the stage. It was an outdoor venue, and I got out. I opened the door, and I heard "Bridge Over Troubled Water" by Art Garfunkel, and I just kind of stood there for a while and thought, gosh, I love this song, and I'd known it for so long and loved it for so long, and so that was a lot of fun. I had an interesting experience, opening, American Pie. Somebody help me. Don McLean, thank you. So Don McLean is singing American Pie, and I opened for Don McLean, and it's American Pie,
Yeah.
and I'm listening to him perform, and he got the words wrong. So I felt good about, I can make a mistake anytime now.
Yeah.
If he can do it, I can do it.
Wow. So would you say that's one of your favorite people you've ever performed with?
Well, I think the favorite person I've ever performed with is Janice Ian, who lives down in Nashville, and just because early on she's a sweet, sweet lady. She took me and invited me to dinner. We didn't know each other. She invited me to dinner. We sat down. We had dinner together, and Janice is very she understands that there are generations, and that that older people need to teach younger people, and who need to teach younger people, and so forth and so on. And so I got just such a great little education about the music business, performance in general, a professional approach, things of that sort. That I refer back to that in my brain all the time.
That's neat.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about your actual music a little bit more. So what was the first song you ever wrote?
It wasn't very good, Kendall. It was called Renaissance, was the name of the song. And I was living in Connecticut, in a town called Norwalk, Connecticut. I went to the beach. It was the first day of spring. And I wanted to quit my job, which I was fixing to do, and kind of go do this rebirth, new career thing. But I sometimes I go to schools and do songwriting workshops with younger kids, and so they always want to know the answer to that question, your first song. And so I share it with them, although I'm blocking it at this point. I try not to remember this song. But one of the lyrics, just to give you an example of how bad it was, one of the lyrics was, let's see, it goes, sun dies on a worn-out winter day, tide brings forth life's promise, and the renaissance of the spring. He needs the renaissance of his being. Thoughts fly as he walks this beach alone. He looks cautiously over his shoulder to see he stood still too long, and his naked wisdom sings. And that's when the second graders explode, because wisdom isn't naked, just people are.
Right. Right.
So anyway, it was. As I tell the younger kids, you write your first song so that you can write your next song, and you write your next song so that you can make number 3 a little bit better, and hopefully that's the way it progresses.
Right. So what inspires you to write your songs? Are there any specific influences?
I think that I'm lucky. I get to write about what I'm thinking about. So I don't have a whole lot of outside pressures on me. I'm not gonna write you this love song. I don't have that. So I write about what's on my mind, and I'm a dad. I'm a husband. I got an old house that I like working on. I'm a coach, and so that kind of defines my little compartments of my world. And so I write about that. I write about the things that come up that I really may not understand and may want to. To me, that's really the beauty of songwriting is you get to go somewhere and try and figure it out. Try and figure out what it's like, and it may be my place, and it may be somebody else's place that I got a little view of one way or another, and so I can be that person. I can explore that place, and that's I enjoy that very much. Yeah.
So is there one specific place that you like to just sit down and write?
I do. Quasimodo Land, up in the studio. I've been there for, I guess it's got to be close to 15 years. I used to write when the kids were just born, when we started raising a family. I used to write. My wife had a straight job. I was home with the kids, and so basically the idea was to write during naps. So 1 o'clock, bottle, diaper, sleep for a couple hours so I can write something, which sometimes worked and sometimes didn't.
Right.
But then my wife left her job, and I went and rented some space in town, and it's quiet. It's got a nice little window that sits above Main Street, so it's right in town. I could scoot over to my kid's elementary school, which is right next door, if I needed to, hey, Casey's got a fever, come and get her, kind of thing. I could do that. So it all worked really great. But mostly it was just quiet, and quiet was good.
Yeah.
We have 5 kids. Quiet is really good sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
do you always write alone, or do you ever write with other people?
I do collaborate. I spent quite a bit of time in Nashville during the 90s mostly. Gosh, I feel old all of a sudden. But anyway, did a lot of co-writing there. I have 4 or 5 friends back home in Connecticut who I like to write with, and I do that as well. And then I also do a thing which is an artist in residence program at schools, where I'll go in and I'll write with an entire grade. In a like say a 5th grade, we'll go, and 150 kids and I will collaborate on writing a song, which is
wow.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a little tricky at times, but we spend a week together, and we talk about lyric and melody and what makes a good idea a great idea, and how do you complement it with instrumentation, and in the end we have a new song, kind of thing.
Wow. So how did that all come about? How did you get the opportunity to do such a thing?
That I did about 10 years ago. I received the honor of being named the Connecticut State Troubadour, which Connecticut has a state troubadour. I bet you didn't know that. And I remember having dinner one time, and my brother was sitting where you are, and a waiter comes up, and he says, "Do you realize that," to the waiter, he says, "Do you realize that this is the Connecticut State Troubadour?" So the waiter goes back to the bar and brings us our drinks, and he says, "Hey, if you ever stop me on the road, will you remember me?" And he had thought that I was a Connecticut State Trooper. Yeah. So as the Connecticut State Troubadour, the basic idea was that I kind of traveled around the state and did a lot of performance. I did not have to wear tights. There was no silk involved, no velvet, but I really enjoyed it because it got me basically from kind of the public coffee house place into a more of a teaching environment, oftentimes, public schools, libraries, places of that sort, and I do a lot of storytelling in my music, and it sits nicely in those places, and so I that kind of evolved into developing this artist in residence program that the state of Connecticut actually supports. So when I go into a school, the state of Connecticut Department of the Arts actually helps fund my program, in songwriting program in the school. So I do like 2, sometimes 3 of those a year.
Wow.
Yeah, which is a lot because it takes up a lot of my brain when I'm doing it. But that's about all I can handle is 2 or 3 a year of that. But
so it seems like music's basically your life.
Well, yeah, it is. If you looked at my house, you would think that because one side of the house always needs painting. But I love music, and I love creating. But I spend a lot of time moving kids to soccer fields and basketball courts. I spend a lot of time coaching kids on baseball fields. I spend a lot of time in the garden. And I find that all of those things feed one another for me. They're all complementing one another. They're all making one another better in my place, in my world. So that's what I try to do. I try to listen and cutting the grass, that doesn't really work for me. but like that,
Right. So what role do you feel that the music takes specifically in your house and with your family?
Well, each kid's different. In almost in the circle of life fashion. My son, who is a freshman in high school, he couldn't be happier that he has received permission that he can now stop playing the bass. He's very happy about that. Instruments are mandatory. I feel like music is a language that people ought to learn, like Spanish. And so it's mandatory, for better or for worse, in our house through the 8th grade. But he was very happy to it's a big instrument, But my May, she's a great piano player. She's in the 6th grade now. Johnny, our caboose, he's in the 4th grade. He plays piano. May plays the flute too. Wow. Our eldest Tara plays the viola. Although she used to call it social suicide to bring the viola to school. So I had to. There are times that I actually brought the. I could commit social suicide. I'm just the dad.
Right.
But she and what I really love is. Tara's in college now, but she would come home from high school the last couple of years, and we've got this old piano in our house, and she would come home. Most of the time she'd be doing sports after school, but if she came home after school, a lot of times she'd go right to YouTube, pull something up, sit down at the piano, and go figure it out, and that's magic for me as a dad to see my kid start connecting in that fashion. That's really, really great.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Love that.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your achievements and your Grammys and the experiences.
Well, it's a funny story. I was coaching a baseball team, little kids, probably 8 years old, and a dad came up and said, "Hey, I hear you write music." And I said, "I do." And he said, "Well, I'm a music supervisor for One Life to Live, and maybe you'd like to send me some stuff." So I sent him some stuff, and he started using my music in his program, and he called me up some months later and said, "I got a scene. It's a mother and a daughter. It's just before prom. The daughter's getting ready, and it's kind of a nice mother-daughter moment. And maybe you could write a song for that scene." The only mother-daughter pre-prom moments that I knew were pretty crazy. But anyway, that's not what they were looking for. So I wrote this nice little song, and it's a real sweet thing. And they, I sent it to them, and Paul called me up and said, "Hey, we're going to use it. We like it." And I thought that was great, and so I got to camp out with my mom on the couch and watch it on TV because, my songs hadn't been on TV.
Right.
I barely crossed the town line, kind of thing. And here, so that was kind of cool. And then, Paul maybe sends me an email or says, "Hey, we're gonna submit." It's called "Little Star," the song. We're gonna submit "Little Star" for an Emmy. And I was like, really? That's great, you know.
Yeah.
And so they went and did that, and then he called me up some months later and leaves me a message on my machine and says, hey, Kev, congratulations. Little Star was just nominated for an Emmy.
Wow.
And, you know, we kind of looked at each other and said, is this really the way it works? You know? and so my wife and I got to go to New York City and go to the Emmys, and we had a great time, and Little Star ended up winning an Emmy.
Wow.
Like that. It was pretty cool. I had to
That's
do the
very
whole,
cool.
you know, I like to thank my wife speech and all that, and it was a lot of fun.
Wow.
Got to wear my brother's tuxedo.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah, it was, and it fit.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought he was a lot bigger than I was, actually, but you know.
So how about the second Emmy?
The second Emmy was, you know, just as fun, very different. Sad little song. It's called "We All Fall Down." Sweet, sad little song. What was cool about that was, you know, I'd already done this, you know, so I knew the process. So, you know, it wasn't really, it was, hey, I wonder if it'll get hey, I wonder if it'll win, you know, like that. You know, the fun part was that the Emmys were out in LA that next year. So my wife and I, was just before school was starting. We had, you know, 4 million things to do for the kids to get ready for school. We ignored all of them. And irresponsibly shuttled off to California for about 36, 48 hours, something like that. But we, you know, we got to go to Santa Monica. We got to, you know, swim in the Pacific. And we got to just hang out in California for a couple days. Got to win an Emmy, which was cool. And then, you know, hurry back home and kiss the kids before they get on the bus, like that.
Wow.
You know, that kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah. Probably didn't work out quite that well, but yeah.
That's exciting. Wow. So are there any other achievements that you want to talk about?
No, I don't think there's any Emmys on the horizon. But, you know, I would say that doing what I do, I don't know if it's just me or it's being a musician or what, but you know, I generally try to follow where people want to lead me, and I try to walk through that door. I try to show up at that door. I try to walk through that door. And usually there's nice stuff going on inside, you know.
Right.
And with the project that I'm here in Kansas doing with Sing, that's just another example of someone being nice enough to invite me in, kind of thing.
Right.
So.
Any big future plans coming up, or just going with the flow?
It's pretty go with the flow for me. Yeah, planning's not my strong suit. But no, we're going to be over the next 4 weeks. We'll be in different places, locations, doing the Sing competition, and that's about as far as I can see. I think that my youngest has a football game, 5 weeks out. So I go 5 weeks out. That's probably pretty good.
All right.
Yeah, those are
good.
the big plans.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Oh, you're welcome, Ken.
And please stay tuned at the 2011 Sing.com for contest results and for the grand prize winners.
I'm here at the Sing competition with Faith, Ella, and Josie here is going to tell us what the winner of this competition gets.
All right, we get $5,000 for us, and then $20,000 to a choice of charity.
And I'm about to ask these girls what their favorite experience here was.
My favorite experience is just being a part of it and like singing.
I'm here with Elena at the sing competition, and Elena's going to tell us a little about how this experience has been so far.
Well, so far it's been a really eye-opening experience. I kind of like all the opportunities that are out there to sing, but most of all it's just been a lot of fun to be able to share my voice, but also to have the opportunity to be able to possibly help somebody, to give them money to charity, stuff like that. So it's a really awesome experience to be able to be given to.
I'm here with Willa Wahlberg at the sing competition. She's going to tell us a little bit about how much fun this has been.
It's been a really good inspiration for me, and I think I will like it, and I'm happy that I get to meet Kevin Briody.
I'm here at the sing competition with Gianna, and Gianna's going to tell us a little bit about how this experience has been for her.
Well, it's just been really cool because I just love singing, and I just feel like it's a great opportunity because there's not a lot of times you get to sing in front of this many people, and it's just amazing.
I'm here with Dwayne at the sing competition, and he's going to tell us a little bit about how this experience has been for him.
The experience has been great. I'm very pleased with the turnout. Meeting Kevin Briody was the highlight of the evening. I'm very excited about the competition.